When I was 5 years old, you hit me for the first time. I still remember that day. All I did was miss the bowl when I was pouring Lucky Charms for my breakfast that morning. I am not sure which is worse, the fact that you hit your 5-year-old son, or that I had enough knowledge to make my own food in the morning when I was 5. When I was 7, I realized that the kids in my school didn't have constant pain caused by parents who didn't care enough about them to make sure that they didn't have bruises speckling their bodies like pebbles along the sidewalk of the school bus stop that my older brother would take me to every day. I am not sure which is worse, the fact that I had to hide bruises, or the fact that it was my 9-year-old brother and not you who walked me to my bus stop every morning like a father would have done. When I was 9, I was hospitalized for the first time because of you. You left me so weak that I couldn't breathe. All I did was come home 10 minutes too late and forget the chores that I needed to have done before you walked through that door. I'm not sure which is worse, the fact that I was seeing a doctor for wounds that I could not explain without fear of going home and getting beaten up again, or the fact that I needed to do chores that you should have done. When I was 13, you did something to me that is beyond unforgivable. You took something from me that was never yours to take. You had me in a way that no one but someone that I love should have me. You put something inside of me that had no right to be there in the first place. I am not who I should be now because of you. I am not sure which is worse, the fact that I was held down in your bed and stolen in ways that are indescribable in words even now, or the fact that I still can't tell anybody about it without wanting to slit open my own stomach and rip out whatever you put in me. When I was 13, I thought about suicide. When I was 13, I tried it. When I was 13, my brother found me almost lifeless on the bathroom floor, and when I was 13, my brother saved my life. He asked me what was wrong, but the memory of you telling me that if I said anything, you would do what you did before kept me quiet. That night still haunts my best dreams. It is burned into my mind and has affected who I am and everything that I have been able to do. My boyfriend cannot touch me without me flinching and lashing out and thinking that it is you, or that he is about to do what you did on that night when I was 13. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell him until just a few months ago. He held me as I cried and comforted me about a past that he barely knew haunted me, and he told me that everything would be all right, and for once in my life, I believed him. They say abusive parents raise abusive kids, but to me that's a lie. I cannot look myself in the mirror still without imagining hands gripping around my throat, making their way down my chest to places that never should have been touched by hands that rough. I am haunted. I am scared. There is not a night that I do not sleep without wondering if your hands will be on me the next morning, or whether it will be my boyfriend's arms around me. How could I possibly pass this on to my own kids? They will not and cannot be blood related to me, and I know already that I will treat them better than you ever treated me. You are not my father. I never had one. I am haunted. I am scared. There is not a night that I do not sleep without wondering if your hands will be on me the next morning, or whether it will be my boyfriend's arms around me. How could I possibly pass this on to my own kids? They will not and cannot be blood related to me, and I know already that I will treat them better than you ever treated me. You are not my father. I never had a father. I had a mother up until I was 5, but you killed her. I didn't. I will never treat the man that I love like that. But this is not supposed to be all about me, so let me get straight to the point. I didn't realize it at the time, but not only were you threatening me, telling me what to do, doing things that my mouth physically will not say even now, but you were also keeping me in the dark. I had no say in my lack of knowledge about the world, because if I did, I would have run. I would have spoken, but you silenced my voice before I even knew how to use it, and now all I can think about is how I want to crawl into a hole and bury myself and try so hard to forget everything that you've ever done. I wish that the story was just about me, but sadly it is a story that I have heard too many times in my less than 2 decades of life about how male victims and victims in general are silenced because they should have enjoyed it. They should have fought back. After all, men are stronger than women, right? So it can only be natural for men never to get raped. And because I'm gay, it must have been okay for you to do what you did, right? I mean, I must have enjoyed it. Aren't all gay people supposed to enjoy weird stuff like that? Oh, and just so you know, that's sarcasm. Let me tell you what happens when you are given a male body and you are gay and you are raped by a man. People will ignore your triggers. They will say, "Daddy," around you. They will make rape jokes about women and men, and they will ignore you until you are dying inside of your mind and your heart shrivels up inside of your chest because you physically cannot tell them. You cannot tell them how sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night screaming and your partner wakes up and holds you and tries to calm you down, but you can't tell them that their touch feels like magma. It burns with the memories of what he did, burns with the thought that someone else had contact with your skin, contact that was in no way, shape, or form consensual. And that is what people don't understand. There's no such thing as non-consensual sex, because that is rape. Non-consensual sex implies that there is such thing as sex that does not involve the word yes or another form of consent, because I was unable to fight back like Ava, and maybe that's something you all will understand better. I was unable to consent because I was 13, because nobody had told me what consent meant, because my dad had hidden me from the rest of the world, sheltered me inside this idea that if I misbehaved, I would get hurt. It was a different kind of forced loneliness for her, though, for Ava, because she had tourists that would show up, and when they stopped showing up, her and her family began a dark descent into separation. And yet, despite all of this, despite their mother and my own mother's death, the sky changed, page 24, and life moved on. And even though terrible things happen after parents die and kids get raped, we still have to go on. Sometimes those we trust are the ones who do horrible things. After all, the Birdman trusted Ava. Blanche, on some level, had to trust Stanley, and I trusted my father. And look at what happened to us. Ava will not speak about it. Blanche broke, and I am so lost that I cannot begin to tell you how I am still here, and I think that the worst thing is how innocent these terrible things can seem. They come from the form of help, of safety, of husbands and fathers. Sometimes we have no say. Other times we protest. Some of us are physically fought and beaten like Blanche and like me. I had nowhere to go, and neither did she. From my perspective, Ava was lucky because once it happened, she took off. She found her family and she was able to live a life separate from that event. And although it may haunt her later on in her life, at least for now, she's free. Free is a word that I will never know.